In 2025, Audrey Lin made a decision that would have seemed almost unthinkable a few years earlier. She was a postdoctoral researcher at New York's American Museum of Natural History, studying ancient DNA. America had given her access to one of the world's strongest scientific ecosystems, but she left. Lin moved to the University of Vienna in Austria, where she could continue her research through a European fellowship. Her decision wasn't simply about money. She wanted the freedom and stability to keep doing the science she had built her career around. And she wasn't alone. A 2025 Nature poll of more than 1,600 scientists working in the United States found that about 75% were considering leaving the country. Among postdocs, the figure was around 80%. Most were not necessarily packing their bags, but the fact that so many were considering it was itself a warning, because a scientist isn't just a person with a salary. A scientist can create a patent. A patent can become a product. A product can become a company. A company can attract investors, hire workers, and create billions of dollars in future value. So when a country loses a scientist, the real economic loss may not appear immediately. It could be the company that never gets founded, the technology that gets developed somewhere else, or the investor who puts money into another country. And this is where the story gets bigger than immigration. For decades, America built the world's greatest talent magnet. Students came for universities, scientists came for laboratories, engineers came for Silicon Valley, entrepreneurs came for venture capital, and ambitious people came because America offered something few countries could match: the ability to turn talent into extraordinary wealth. But now, other countries are competing directly for those same people. Canada is targeting highly skilled workers and researchers. Europe is attracting scientists with research funding, and international enrollment at American universities has started falling. In fall 2025, new international student enrollment dropped 17%. So the question isn't whether America is suddenly losing every smart person. The evidence doesn't support that. The real question is much more uncomfortable. What happens when the country that spent decades becoming the world's greatest talent magnet starts giving those people more reasons to look somewhere else? Because if talent moves, money can move with it. To understand why this matters, we have to understand what America was actually selling. It wasn't simply a job. It was an ecosystem. A talented person could arrive with a degree, an idea, or a research project and find universities, companies, investors, and customers inside the same economy. A student could become an engineer. The engineer could join a technology company. That company could train them, connect them to investors, and expose them to a huge market. Then that engineer could leave and start a company. And when the idea needed money, America had venture capital ready to take the risk. That created a powerful loop. Talent created ideas. Companies commercialized them. Investors supplied capital. Successful companies created more opportunities. Then the cycle repeated. Immigrants became a crucial part of that machine. Research has found that immigrants represented about 16% of US-based inventors, but produced roughly 23% of patents during the period studied. Their contribution was even larger when the productivity benefits they created for American-born inventors were included. And the same pattern appeared in entrepreneurship. Immigrant founders have played a major role in American startup creation, while teams combining immigrant and US-born founders have shown strong results in funding, employment, and patents. This meant America wasn't simply importing workers. It was importing human capital, knowledge, and skills that make an economy more productive. Universities were one of the biggest entry points. During the 2024 to 25 academic year, around 1.2 million international students studied in the United States, contributing an estimated $55 billion to the economy. But those students weren't just tuition payments. Some became engineers, some became researchers, some became founders, some became employers. So the university classroom was often the first stage of a much larger economic pipeline. And for decades, the assumption was simple. If talented people had a choice, they would choose America. That assumption worked because America's combination of universities, capital, companies, and opportunity was extremely difficult to match. But then the competition changed. Other countries stopped asking, how do we build another Silicon Valley? They started asking, how do we attract the people already inside America's Silicon Valley? The American talent machine had a hidden condition. You had to be able to stay. For a US-born engineer, losing a job is frightening. For someone working on a visa, it can become an immigration problem at the same time. And suddenly, a prestigious this American job isn't just about salary. It's about risk. In 2026, reports showed visa-dependent workers at major technology companies reconsidering their careers because layoffs can threaten their ability to remain in the country. Some were moving away from big tech towards smaller companies, entrepreneurship, or opportunities abroad. That creates a strange situation. A company may see a highly valuable employee. The worker may see an unstable immigration status, and a competitor country may see an opportunity. The same problem appears in science. A research project can take years. A laboratory can take a decade to build. A young scientist may spend their entire career becoming an expert in one narrow field. So uncertainty doesn't have to force someone out tomorrow. It can simply make them choose somewhere else. That's what makes the 2025 Scientist Survey so important. Again, 75% considering leaving does not mean 75% actually left. Many stayed. Some preferred American laboratories. Some couldn't move their families. Some believed the uncertainty would pass. But the number reveals something new. Staying had become a calculation. And America doesn't need to become a bad country to lose its advantage. It only needs to become less obviously better. Imagine two research offers. America offers the bigger laboratory, higher salary, and stronger network. Europe offers less money, but more predictable funding and a clearer long-term path. America may still win, but it is no longer an automatic decision. Then the competition gets even more direct. Canada has begun targeting highly skilled workers and researchers, including people already working in the United States. It has also committed 1.7 billion Canadian dollars to attract leading researchers. America spent decades building the talent. Now another country can try to recruit the people America already trained. And that is where the story starts becoming a financial problem. Canada isn't the only competitor. Europe is also becoming more aggressive. The European Research Council saw applications from US-based researchers rise sharply, including a major increase in applications from scientists considering grants that could allow them to relocate their research. One real example shows how serious this competition can become. Omar Yaghi, a Nobel Prize-winning chemist who built a major career in the United States, left for a full-time position at Tsinghua University in Beijing in 2026. His new role wasn't retirement. He was going to lead an institute focused on AI-assisted materials discovery. That doesn't prove America is losing the global science race, but it proves something important. America can lose people at the very top, and one scientist at that level can be worth far more than a salary. They attract students, they attract researchers, they attract grants, they create intellectual property, they build networks, and those networks can eventually create companies. That is why governments are willing to spend billions competing for talent. Canada's 1.7 billion Canadian dollar research initiative isn't simply a research expense. It's an investment in the economic ecosystem those researchers might create. America's competitors don't need to copy Silicon Valley overnight. They don't need to build another MIT. They just need to convince enough talented people that another country is good enough. And that is much easier because America's advantage comes with costs. Housing is expensive. Education is expensive. Healthcare is expensive. And for foreign workers, immigration uncertainty adds another layer of risk. For years, people accepted those costs because the upside was enormous. But when another country can offer 80% of the opportunity with less uncertainty, the calculation changes. And the first place that calculation becomes visible is education. In fall 2025, newly enrolled international students in U.S. colleges fell 17%. Universities reported visa problems and travel restrictions among the reasons. At some institutions, the decline was severe enough to force spending cuts. That means fewer students, less tuition, less university revenue, fewer resources. But there is something even more important than the money universities lose today. The student who doesn't arrive today might have become tomorrow's researcher, or engineer, or founder. And that future economic value is almost impossible to put on a spreadsheet. By 2026, the financial consequences were becoming easier to see. During the 2024 to 25 academic year, international students contributed roughly $42.9 billion to the U.S. economy and supported more than 355,000 jobs. Then new international enrollment fell 17%. NAFSA estimated that the decline represented more than $1.1 billion in lost economic activity and nearly 23,000 fewer jobs. And the 2026 outlook was even more concerning. NAFSA and JB International projected that U.S. colleges could have up to 111,000 fewer international students in fall fall 2026, potentially producing up to $3.4 billion in lost economic activity and putting nearly 40,000 jobs at risk. Those are projections, not guaranteed losses, but they show the scale of the machine. And there was another warning hidden inside the numbers. International doctoral applications were down 21%, while international doctoral admissions fell about 17%. That matters because PhD students aren't simply customers. They are researchers. They work inside laboratories. They assist professors. They publish papers. They build knowledge. Some eventually create companies. So the loss isn't just tuition. It is future innovation. And that's where the disaster becomes different from a normal corporate collapse. There is no CEO announcing bankruptcy. No stock falls 80%. No single office closes. Instead, the damage happens quietly. One student chooses Toronto. One scientist chooses Vienna. One researcher chooses Paris. One founder incorporates somewhere else. One investor follows. One laboratory loses a team. Individually, these decisions look insignificant. Together, they can change where the next generation of wealth is created. That's the hidden cost of brain drain. The biggest loss may be the economic activity that never happens. America may have spent years creating a brilliant researcher. Another country doesn't have to pay the full cost of creating that researcher. It only has to offer them a reason to stay. And once the person moves, some of the value can move with them. Knowledge, connections, patents, companies, capital, jobs. That is why talent competition can compound over decades. One researcher trains 10 more. Those researchers create companies. Those companies attract investors. Those investors finance more companies. Eventually, a country doesn't just have talented people. It has an ecosystem. And ecosystems are much harder to rebuild than they are to lose. So after following the evidence, we can finally answer the question. Is America chasing away all of its smart people? No, the evidence doesn't support that. America is still one of the world's strongest magnets for talent, capital, and innovation. Its universities remain powerful. Its companies remain enormously valuable. Its venture capital market remains unmatched in scale. And millions of talented people still want to come. But that's almost beside the point. Because America doesn't need to lose everyone to lose an advantage. It only needs to lose enough people at the margin. The researcher who chooses Europe. The engineer who chooses Canada. The founder who builds somewhere else. The student who never applies. The investor who follows them. That is where the money trail leads. A student enters a country. The university earns revenue. The student becomes a researcher. The researcher creates knowledge. A company commercializes it. Investors provide capital. The company hires people. Taxes are generated. And industry grows. Now reverse it. The student chooses another country. The researcher stays there. The startup is founded there. The investment follows. The jobs appear there. The taxes are paid there. America hasn't necessarily lost billions overnight. It has lost the future billions that might have been created there. And that is why this isn't really a story about people escaping America. It's a story about choice. For decades, America had the advantage of being the obvious choice. Now that choice is becoming more competitive. Canada is actively targeting highly skilled workers and researchers. Europe is attracting American-based researchers with major grants. China is attracting globally important scientists like Omar Yagi. And American universities are already feeling the financial impact of fewer international students. None of this means America has lost. It means the old assumption is no longer safe. The world's best people now have more choices. And when talented people have choices, countries have to compete. That may be the biggest change of all, because America's greatest economic advantage was never just its companies. It was the people who built them, the engineers, the scientists, the researchers, the founders, the students who became all four. For decades, they looked at America and saw the place where ambition could become extraordinary wealth. The question now is whether America can keep giving them enough reasons to stay, because talent is not oil. It cannot be stored underground. It cannot be printed by a central bank. And once a scientist builds their laboratory somewhere else, or a founder builds their company somewhere else, bringing that economic ecosystem back is incredibly difficult. America may still have the world's greatest talent machine, but the rest of the world has finally learned how to compete for the people inside it. And when talent can cross a border in a day, capital can follow it even faster.